As you can see, I am not a Korean person, and for that reason, my Korean pronunciation will not sound 100% like a native Korean speaker's. However, I do live in Korea and I do have a lot of experience with teaching language, and for that reason I thought, wouldn't it be fun to have a practice along, follow along video with just a lot of speaking practice out loud that you can do by yourself. I feel like there's a lot of information on the internet. If you just type in any language, grammar, vocabulary, it's very easy to find. But there doesn't seem to be a lot of opportunities to practice speaking, especially if you're by yourself. So I just thought, why not have a series where I will teach you some grammar points, go ahead and take some notes if you like, have the notes out there in front of you, and then we'll have opportunities throughout the video to practice along with speaking out loud, something that you can do on your own. The only thing that you have to know ahead of time is the Korean alphabet. I do not feel qualified to teach the alphabet. I feel like there are a lot of better videos out there on the internet for that. So as long as you know the alphabet, then you're good to go and we can go ahead and get started. So today's grammar point is going to be ida, to be, as in am is are. I am a student, you are my friend, he is a firefighter, she is a police officer, and so on. If you already know the grammar, feel free to skip ahead to the practice round, but even if you do know the grammar and you just want a little bit of slower practice, then go ahead and watch the whole video. If you already know this Korean grammar, this video may be a bit too easy for you, but at the same time, if you don't often practice speaking out loud, it still might be a good challenge. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started.
Okay, sorry for this very boring blank PowerPoint style here, but I feel like it's a very effective way to just keep out all the distractions and go through this. So, to be. Now, very quickly, if you don't know, if you're an absolute beginner to Korean, you may not know that there are two ways to word your sentences in Korean. There's the casual way and the polite way. Now, the casual way is what you're going to do. It's what you're going to speak in to your friends, to people who are younger than you, to kids. And the polite form is basically for just anyone you don't know, or also people who you do know. What I mean by this is basically, if you're anyone who's older than you or in the workplace, even if someone is younger than you or the same age as you, then maybe at work you might still talk to them in polite form. If you're doing a speech, if anything that's sort of formal, things that you'll see on TV like public speaking, if you're making a video for an audience that of course you don't know who's all in the audience, that's all going to be in polite form. And so for that reason, we're going to go ahead and practice polite form today because it is the kind of safest option to practice. Alright, so for some 새로운 단어, aka some new words, I'm just going to go ahead and give you a bunch of words right now. Go ahead, feel free to pause the video and write them down because you will need these words to practice with later. So let's go ahead and start. We've got 학생. 학생. 학생 is student. 사람. 사람. 사람 is person. 물. 물. 물 is water. 집. 집. 집 is house or home. 여자. 여자. Girl or woman. And following up with that, 남자. 남자. Boy or man. Okay, let's go ahead and get into the 문법 for today. 문법 being the word for grammar. So, any word that ends with a consonant, you're going to notice this in Korean a lot. It matters if a word ends in a consonant or a vowel because the language is sort of set up to make it as easy as possible for you to, for example, if someone has a consonant, the next thing that's going to follow is going to be something that flows easily with that. So, you'll see what I mean as we go along. So if a word ends with a consonant, for example, 학생, 물, and 사람, we've got 학생, we've got this, I forgot the letter names. It's been 2 years studying Korean and I still can't remember the letter names. We've got this one here that makes the sound, which is surprisingly actually considered a consonant. The in 물 and the in 사람. What's it called? Miet or something? Letter names Miet, is that right? I don't know. Alright, so these all end in a consonant. And when something ends in a consonant, we're going to add 이에요. 이에요. And this 이에요 is going to attach directly to the word. So 학생 becomes 학생이에요. 학생이에요. 물 물이에요. 물이에요. 사람이에요. 사람이에요. And you'll notice that the pronunciation, for example, in 물이에요, it's not really pronounced 물 plus 이에요. This, oh my gosh, the letter sounds. We're going to call it an L for right now. I'm so sorry. This liat or something. It's going to go into the next sound. So it's going to sort of flow and it's going to sound a bit more like 물이에요. 물이에요. As opposed to 물이에요. And 사람이에요 is going to be more naturally pronounced as 사람이에요. 사람이에요. Okay, so let's go ahead and get some 연습, some practice time in. So here we go. Let me go ahead and show you first just basically how to structure a sentence in Korean. So if we have this sentence here, I am a student, something that makes Korean actually extremely easy is the fact that, one, we don't need this word a here. In Korean, they don't really need to specify singular versus plural quite as much as we do in English. So we're just going to go ahead and get rid of that guy. Secondly, this I is also kind of optional as well. So if I just said this sentence without the I, it's kind of just implied that I'm talking about myself. Or if I brought up something else to talk about, then we already know the subject, so we can just go ahead and leave that guy out too. So now we're just left with am student. And the only thing that one thing that does make Korean hard is that you're gonna go ahead and switch these. So basically in just about every single Korean sentence, the verb is going to come at the end. So student am is how you would say, I am a student, or he is a student, or we are students, and so on. So student am, what was the word for student? 학생. And because 학생 ends with a consonant, we've got 학생이에요. 학생이에요. And to make this complete, 짜잔, 학생이에요. Next, how about it is water? Like I said earlier, this it, we're going to go ahead and make it optional right now. And now we're going to go ahead and rotate it to make it grammatically correct. Water is. What was the word for water? 물. And it is water. 물이에요. 물이에요. Ta-da. Okay, go ahead and try this one on your own. I am a person. 사람이에요. 사람이에요. And if for some reason you're having a weird existential crisis and you're wondering, am I a person? You can very easily make this sentence in Korean because we all know that we speak Korean when we have an existential crisis. So to make this into a Korean question, 빠나옹. 사람이에요. 사람이에요? Am I a person? And this also translates to, are you a person? Is he a person? Is that thing over there a person? Just go ahead and raise that intonation in your voice. And there is a way to specify that thing over there, or are you a person? Am I a person? There is a way to specify all these, but we'll go ahead and get into that in the future. I just want to keep this video as simple as possible right now. So let's go ahead and go back to the 문법, the grammar here. So for words that end in a vowel, it's going to be a little bit different. 남자, 여자. 남자 being man, 여자 being woman. Both of these end with a vowel, so instead of adding 이에요, we're going to add instead 예요. 예요. So now we have 남자예요, 여자예요. And when you pronounce these really fast, it actually doesn't really sound like a Y sound. It doesn't sound like 남자예요. It sounds a little bit more like 남자예요 when you pronounce it fast, but it's technically 남자예요. And you might see spelling mistakes if you see Korean speakers like texting or like posting things on the internet. You might see some spelling mistakes with this and the 이에요 as well. But just know that this is technically the grammatically correct way to write this. So, 남자예요, 여자예요. Okay, I've got 12 words here, 6 of which you know, 6 you may or may not know. I don't want you to worry at all about the meaning of these words right now. I just want you to go out and practice. Is it 이에요 or is it 예요? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through these one by one. I'm going to give you about 3 seconds to answer for each one. If 3 seconds is too short of time, go ahead and just pause after each one. Pause the video after each question so you have time to think about it. I just didn't want to make it too many seconds between, or else I felt like this video would get really boring for anyone who might be returning to it for practice or anyone who's maybe a little bit higher than this level. So let's start with number 1. 물. Is it 물이에요 or is it 물이에요? 물이에요. 물이에요. Number 2. 사람. 사람이에요. 사람이에요. Number 3. 여자. 여자예요. 여자예요. Number 4. 종이. 종이예요. 종이예요. Number 5. 남자. 남자예요. 남자예요. Number 6. 집. 집이에요. 집이에요. Number 7. 녹차. 녹차예요. 녹차예요. Number 8. 학생. 학생이에요. 학생이에요. Number 9. 술. 술이에요. 술이에요. Number 10. 컴퓨터. 컴퓨터. 컴퓨터예요. 컴퓨터예요. Number 11. 문. 문이에요. 문이에요. Number 12. 책상. 책상이에요. 책상이에요. And in case you were very interested in the words that you didn't know, we've got 종이, paper, 녹차, tea, 술, alcohol, computer, bet you didn't guess that one, 문, door, and 책상, desk. So if you want, feel free to go ahead and pause the video and write these down. But most of our practice is just going to be with the 6 words that we learned originally. Alright, so let's get back to 연습, like with some making actual sentences. So let's go ahead and I am a girl. I'll give you about 5 seconds. Like I said, if you need more time, go ahead and pause the video. 여자예요. 여자예요. I am a boy. 남자예요. 남자예요. It's a house. 집이에요. 집이에요. It's water. 물이에요. 물이에요. I am a human. 사람이에요. 사람이에요. You wouldn't believe how common this sentence is when I teach English to my Korean students. They always want to specify that they are or are not a human. It's a computer. Oh no, I told you you didn't have to write the words down earlier, but it's okay, I gave it to you. 컴퓨터. So it's a computer. What do you think? 컴퓨터예요. 컴퓨터예요. It's paper. Oh, once again, here you go. 종이예요. 종이예요. Okay, let's go ahead and start with the practice party. So I originally wanted to call this the lightning round, but I honestly didn't want to call it that because I don't want it to seem like you have to go fast. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask a series of questions, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to put a word on here, and you just need to decide, is it ieo or is it yeo? And I don't want you to worry about the meaning of the words at all. That's not what this is about. This is just about getting your brain to naturally be able to like solve the grammar immediately. But like I said, so I'm going to put the word up, and then I'm going to give like 1 or 2 seconds before I give the answer. Now, if that's too fast, which it very likely will be the first time that you do this, just go ahead and make sure that you pause the video, take all the time that you need to answer it, and then we'll start. And also, definitely go ahead and have your notes out in front of you so that you can look at your notes as much as you need to. But I wanted to make sure that this was fairly fast because I definitely want this to be something that you can come back to in the future. And when you come back in the future, I don't want it to be too slow and boring. All right, so here we go. 물, 물이에요. 녹차, 녹차예요. 자전거, 자전거예요. 학교, 학교예요. 고양이, 고양이예요. 책, 책이에요. 맥주, 맥주예요. 의자, 의자예요. 사람, 사람이에요. 남편, 남편이에요. 아내, 아내예요. 고기, 고기예요. 빵, 빵이에요. 연필, 연필이에요. 영화, 영화예요. 침대, 침대예요. I'm a person. 사람이에요. It's water. 물이에요. He's a student. 학생이에요. I'm a girl. 여자예요. It's a house. 집이에요. Is it a house? 집이에요? It's green tea. 녹차예요. And just in case you did take notes from the second set of vocabulary, it's alcohol. 술이에요. And just in case you want some new vocabulary, here are the translated sentences to what you just did a minute ago. Some of the words you have from what you wrote down when the video first started, and some of them are new. So feel free to pause the video and write down whatever you like, just so that you have some extra words to practice with. Otherwise, great job today, and I'll see you next video.